Who do we trust now? Who has the moral authority to censor you? Who has the moral authority to govern you? I've been learning a lot about the history of our sweet little monarchy, and all history is a bunch of establishment elites corralling populations into a kind of an order and exploiting them and then pretending they're doing it for their own good. It's been going on for ages and ages. Thankfully, it comes to a stop now, thanks to a man who I know and trust, a man by the name of Andrzejewski, who comes from OpenTheBooks.com, where the government are tracked and held to account to see how they spend their money and how they use your taxpayer dollary dues to corrupt you right down your snout pipes. Adam is here now. Adam, you honour us in that tie. You look more handsome than I remember you.
Well, thank you, Russell. Hey, first off, I just want to say that the elites in this country, they take us all for fools and they dominate in the media and the government, but they don't dominate here. You've put together a platform where people watch, they listen, they comment, and that strikes me a lot like what the scientific method used to be, where people could question, give criticism, be skeptical of ideas. And at the end of the day, that's how you get the best public policy. That's why in the first 2 times that you've had me on this year, I've called you Mr. Brand, out of respect for the platform that you have created here to educate all of us.
Well, I thank you very much. And I will echo the sentiments of our friend here on Locals, Barry John Fox, who, referring to you, says simply, "You handsome bastard." Now, Adam, some of your research shows that the federal complex is becoming increasingly militarized. Is it true? Because I can't believe that it is. This better not be fake news. This better not be misinformation. How can the IRS, who are an organization who have the simple job of innocently collecting taxes for the betterment of American civilians and citizens, be spending money on guns? Tell me you're making that up. Tell me it ain't true, Adam.
We're the subject matter expert on this, Russell, all the way back to 2016. With our then honorary chairman, Dr. Tom Coburn, and I, we published an editorial at the Wall Street Journal, Why Does the IRS Need Guns? We've recently updated our numbers, and here are the findings. Since 2006, the Internal Revenue Service has purchased $35 million worth of guns, ammunition, and military-style equipment. But $10 million of those purchases have come since the pandemic started. So ahead of the pandemic, here's the numbers on the IRS gun locker. They own 4,500 weapons, including 600 shotguns and 500 long barrel rifles, which are AR-15 style weaponry. They own 15 submachine guns. Who knew the IRS had submachine guns in their basement? They had stockpiled 5 million rounds of ammunition, but just in the past 2.5 years, they've purchased $10 million worth of additional weaponry and gear, including $1 million worth of AR-15 style long barrel rifles, $500,000 worth of shotguns, and $3.8 million worth of other gear.
This is astonishing. It's extraordinary. If it weren't coming from a source as reliable as you, Adam, I would say it had to be disinformation. Because how can the government that continually advocate for tighter controls with some reasonable arguments on the weaponry and armory of the American public be spending so much money on arming themselves, almost as if they want themselves heavily armed and they want you with nothing in your hands that can do any damage at all? That's astonishing.
Well, let's look at the entire federal complex, even beyond the IRS. So since 2006, we've quantified at OpenTheBooks.com that the 103 federal agencies have purchased $3.7 billion worth of guns, ammunition, and military-style equipment. Now, 27 of those agencies are traditional federal law enforcement agencies. They're housed at the Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security. But there are 76 rank and file traditional paper-pushing agencies like Health and Human Services or the Environmental Protection Agency, like the IRS, like the Department of Education, for crying out loud, like the Social Security Administration. Those 27 agencies have loaded up on weaponry as well. In total, Russell, there are now 200,000 federal officers with arrest and firearm authority, and that number exceeds the number of United States Marines at 180,000.
That's astonishing. Over here on our chat, they're saying they're making death and taxes one department. That's a fantastic quote from our chat. The two inevitabilities have ultimately aligned. Excuse me, Adam, is it also true that the FBI is spending a staggering amount on paying informants? Is that true?
So here are the latest numbers. And in 2021, I put these numbers up in my then column at Forbes. The FBI, the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, during 6-year and 5-year periods, they spent $550 million on paid informants. If you break that number down, the FBI spent about $300 million between 2012 and 2018 paying informants. They did not disclose the number of their paid informants. The DEA spent about $200 million. They did disclose their informants. 18,000 people were paid to be an informant between the years of 2011 and 2015. The ATF paid about 2,000 people to be informants, and they spent about $20 million.
What does this suggest to you about the nature of government and the way that it is funded? What does it suggest to you about the nature of government and their relationship with media? What kind of, given the depth and breadth and detail of your experience, Adam, what type of government would you like to see in America? What level of federalization, localization, democracy do you think is required to stop what appears to be inherent governmental corruption that is not a bug, but a feature of a deeply corrupted system?
So here's what we can all agree on, Russell. I don't care if you're left, right, or center. People on the left, they want their tax dollar to serve people who have real needs. The people on the right, they want to be left alone. They want to limit government to the core services. But here's what we can all agree on, that every dime that government taxes and spends within reason should be online in real time. Now, at OpenTheBooks.com, we actually have a phrase for this. Every dime online in real time. And I want to invite everybody watching the program here today to our website at OpenTheBooks.com. Last year, we filed 55,000 Freedom of Information Act requests, and we captured nearly, not all, but nearly every dime taxed and spent at every level of government across the entire country. So if you're concerned about the policies in your local school district, you can come to our website, you can search even the payrolls and oftentimes the vendor checkbooks right in your local municipality, county, or school district, all the way to Washington, D.C.
What a fantastic facility you're offering, which is indeed transcendent of bipartisan politics, because regardless of the affiliations you have with a particular flavor of democracy, and God knows I believe that those flavors have become banal and centralized to the point of near redundancy, we all want clarity and transparency in our government. So close to Independence Day, it's surely worth noting that your great nation declared itself independent from another better nation, probably a bit better one, better flags, better uniforms and stuff, and perhaps your revolution was somehow masterminded by British generals behind the scenes, that independence was wrought from and brought about precisely because of taxation without representation. And yet, from what you're telling us, Adam, that's exactly what's happening to this day, in spite of the revolution.
Well, we fight, we dig, we keep digging, we keep clawing to make sure that every dime goes online in real time. Russell, just recently we issued a report on the earmark spending of members of Congress in the last 6 months ago in the year-end budget bill. And it was $16 billion that went out the door on 7,500 port projects. So Congress literally went nuts. $1 million to the Macadamia Nut Initiative in Hawaii. $2 million went on an earmark, a local pet project into Baltimore, Maryland, to the Great Blacks in Wax Museum, where the member who asked for that earmark was ensconced in a wax figurine just 6 months of ahead of the earmark. You got $3 million, $3.6 million that went into the Michelle Obama Trail down in Atlanta, Georgia, phase 2. Phase 1 was actually paid by local county taxpayers. Phase 2 is paid for by all of us. But all of that is dwarfed by the $5 million from the Republican member of Congress, Byron Donalds, down in Naples, Florida. $5 million went into the Naples septic system. It literally got flushed down the drain in a community where the average home price is $600,000.
Adam, it's very difficult to listen to these things, and if it wasn't for your physical and spiritual beauty, I don't know if I'd be able to stand it. Were it not for the face of an angel, the eyes of a Pears soap model, the twinkling teeth of a matinee idol. Adam, it's customary when we have you on our show, and thank God we have the privilege of having you on pretty regularly, for you to pluck almost at random a book from your shelf of sexy knowledge and read us arbitrarily a paragraph of deep wisdom. Why should today be different from any other day? Adam, I beg you, with all that is decent and holy, to open those damn books and read us something.
Sure enough, I actually was prepared for this, Russell. So I pulled right off our shelf, Fleecing America, done by the former really good government U.S. Senator from Wisconsin, William Proxmire. He did the Golden Fleece Award for years. Here are just two of the examples of a Golden Fleece Award from the 1970s. In 1975, Proxmire gave the award to the FAA for a study of 432 flight attendants where they measured the distance between their knees when they were sitting and the length of their buttocks, and they spent $300,000 on that study. Here's another study from 1978. Proxmire gave the Golden Fleece Award for a federal study of the activities inside a Peruvian brothel, where the researchers kept coming back repeatedly, all in the interests of accuracy.
We've got to be accurate about what's going on in this brothel. I just need one more night. And while we're in there, I can give my buttocks a good measuring. And by the way, Adam, that is not how you say the word buttocks. It's not buttocks. It's not buttocks. Is it, Adam? It's buttocks. Buttocks. British style.
Well, hey, I'm here in Chicago. You know, it is what it is, Russell. We
all the time, buttocks. Buttocks.
Here in Illinois, it is the Super Bowl of corruption. So, to the extent that we say our words wrong, you know, that's just another thing wrong with Illinois.
It ain't necessarily wrong. Maybe that's just how you say buttocks. What good shall I do this day? What a lovely phrase you've got behind you there. You're a beautiful man, Adam. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks once again for being illuminating, energetic, rigorous, assiduous, and damn good fun. It's always a joy to spend time with you, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell.
See you again soon. You can find out more about Adam and his work by going to OpenTheBooks.com. You've seen what he's doing. He's a fascinating man. I think that he's the sort of person that should be supported. I don't know if you can find out more about him at OpenTheBooks.com.
Right, yeah.
Will it say, like, what's he like? What makes him tick? Would like to know that.
Right.
Because I'm fascinated by him.
They should add a personal section.
Have a personal section on Open the Books. I'd like to do a special session, Open the Books on Adam. He's still there, Adam, watching us beaming. And yeah, we love you, mate.
It's a great conversation, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the showcase. We want to be the information for everybody watching the show, an information machine for democracy.
I will give you such a slap on the buttocks if you don't start behaving, Adam.
Hey, for next time, I'm going to practice saying that word.
No, say it. Don't you change, mate. Don't you change anything about you. You're absolutely terrific and perfect the way you are as the Lord made you. Thank you, Adam, for joining us. Well, there you go. There he goes. Adam Andrzejewski, one of the goddamn finest fellas we ever did have on this show.